Hey everybody, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. I've been trading crypto the last 7.5 years. In this video, we're going to check in on the charts. I'm going to go over how the Michael Saylor recent headline was a clearly structured trade setup. Going to go over the rotation we've recently been seeing between MSTR and MARA with the crypto stocks while we've been seeing some rotation from Bitcoin to alts. Going to give an example of how we go through different time frames one at a time for play-by-play throughout the day in terms of determining the most likely scenario, and then how we can use that to establish a trade plan based on relative strength or weakness. So we're going to give multiple examples of structuring a trade game plan. One of them is utilizing some fundamentals in psychology, and the other is just straight up technicals. So let's get started. Before we get started, we've got our Black Friday sale, posting the link in the chat, and feel free to ask any questions in the chat as we go along. I'll read that eventually. But our Black Friday sale gives access to our chat room community, our daily live streams, free Super Stack indicator included. I just did a video about what membership and all that entails. That's on our YouTube channel if you are interested. And thanks for the likes and the shares along the way. So first I want to talk about Saylor. And this is an example of establishing a clearly defined if-then statement, which is a part of a trade game plan. And if-then statements are important because they are definitive. There's not, I'm going to buy if we're oversold. That can mean many different things. So the example here was knowing, okay, we know Michael Saylor is buying Bitcoin with his most recent raise of however many billions of dollars. And so we know over this past weekend, at some point within the next few days, he's going to be buying. And so the big question then, we know we're watching this big $100,000 psychological level. The entire market is watching it. And so I laid out a clear if-then statement, and I utilized psychology. How did I utilize psychology? I put myself in the mindset of the market as a whole. And my mindset was, if we are not over 100,000, I guess we'll go word for word here. So Saylor buying can certainly still take us past 100,000. At this point in time, I don't know if he's bought yet. I don't know if he's, has the majority still to go. But just be aware that if it's announced that this most recent round of his buying is complete and we have not broken it yet, have not broken 100,000, it will likely be a short-term bearish reaction to the headline. Why? So again, psychologically, put yourself in the mindset of the market. You're thinking, if Saylor just bought billions and we didn't break 100,000, what would be the catalyst? What would be the fuel in the short term? Again, just talking about the next few days. What would be the catalyst to break 100,000 if that billions of buying didn't do it? And the answer is, we're probably not going to break 100,000 right now, and that leads to a bearish reaction. So we then use that setup for a clear if-then trade thesis. If it is announced that Saylor used up this round of buying and we are not over 100,000, then I look short coin, MSTR. You can be short in crypto, of course, depending on the setup of the individual name. There are a number of things that would invalidate this thesis, such as Bitcoin breaking 100,000 first. So if we didn't know if Saylor had bought yet and we broke 100,000, this goes out the window because the if-then statement is then no longer correct. And I learned a lot about the if-then statements in a logic course that I took in college, and I apply that to my trading significantly. So we then get the headline that Saylor has bought. There's no more buying pressure for the moment. And the reaction to that, that headline came out yesterday, sometime here. The bell rings for the market, and the bears take over. And you look at all these stocks. Of course, the cryptos were dumping, but you had, coin yesterday from the open, 30-minute straight drop of 5.5%. MSTR yesterday from the open, straight drop of 12% in less than a half an hour. MARA had a nice V-shaped recovery, but still had that 9% drop. So again, it's just looking at things from a psychological perspective, outlining the TA setup, and then having the trade triggered on the if-then statement becoming true. So now what? Well, we just knew to be looking for daily consolidation that was inevitable at that point. There's no major red flags still. We're cooling off what was some very extended RSI levels. Currently, We're testing daily EMA 12 support. The big question that we have is, are we about to see weekly consolidation or not? And we can see the weekly inside bar right now. Still 5 days to go. But the big shift that did take place is the 12-hour EMA 12. So again, we always want to identify something that has been the case. So this entire breakout since the election news has held 12-hour EMA 12. So I know that when that level is lost for the first time, I can then say, okay, things are shifting a bit. This is different for the first time since that headline catalyst, the headline being the election, since that headline catalyst took place. And so we are now in that scenario. We have the most significant bearish day yesterday because of the Saylor headline, but losing 12-hour EMA 12 told us, okay, things are now a little bit different than they've been previously on this entire run up. So now it's just a question of how significantly can the bears run with it? And I'm going to go through some analysis here on some altcoins and things, and then we're going to go through the play-by-play of following today. Actually, let's just do that now. We're on Bitcoin. So here's an example of the play-by-play. Also, just a note, if you're following me on Twitter, social media, in our chat room or whatever, the more I talk about something, the higher my conviction is. So I was talking about this Saylor setup in a bunch of different places, just in terms of making sure the stock traders know about it, making sure the crypto traders know about it, because I had high conviction that it would be a bearish reaction. So again, just another example, everything that I just said, but if we haven't broken 100,000, look to short the crypto stocks on that news. So keep an eye out. If I'm repeatedly talking about something, it's a conviction meter in terms of myself personally. So play-by-play for today. All right, Bitcoin heading towards first 4-hour oversold conditions. Didn't quite get there, and we were watching an hourly falling wedge on the morning setup. So this morning, a couple hours ago, now 4 hours ago, hourly falling wedge watch. So here's an example of me creating a trade thesis, and it didn't work out, in the sense that in a different post, I said, this is an hourly falling wedge that I'm watching for Bitcoin. I would ideally want to see one more lower low with no follow through to look long, whether it's crypto stocks or Bitcoin. We dropped down and we got close, but we didn't get that lower low. So I was being conservative. I want one more low, and then I'm looking to go long. We didn't get it. And so I didn't get a long trade on this bounce. I would have chosen Bitcoin or MARA. MARA is showing recent relative strength. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but we didn't get the setup. So that's okay. The trade didn't come to me exactly as I wanted it. So I just wave and say goodbye and watch it play out. But here's an example of the play-by-play. So the setup is, we know 4 hours getting close to oversold. We know the hourly is a falling wedge looking for a bull break. We then can zoom in even further and we say, oftentimes falling wedges turn into inverse head and shoulders, or head and shoulders, both directions. So how did this falling wedge, this was the 30-minute. I'll show it on the 15 for a bit more detail. But again, falling wedge. So okay, falling wedge broke bull at this point. Not a whole lot of follow through. If we're going to follow through, we've got to confirm this inverse head and shoulders. We essentially double topped at 93.6, 93.7. And so anticipated that if this is going to break bull, it's got to be that inverse head and shoulders. So we got the inverse head and shoulders. That confirmed. So now what? Now we zoom out. All right, 4-hour bounce is underway. We know where resistance is. So we zoom out. All right, head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders has confirmed. Zooming out and watching 4-hour EMA 12 resistance, which aligns with 95,000 price resistance. So 95,000 was resistance on the way down. We head right up. We're rejecting hard off 4-hour EMA 12. So what do I do with that information? Well, I recognize that CLSK, crypto miner, is much weaker than MARA and other crypto stocks. So I short CLSK right before this video. And I'm out of this trade at this point. Bears getting a bit of follow through, should have left a runner, but I know I'd be distracted. And it was just a setup of recognizing relative weakness. So how do I recognize relative weakness? I'm looking at Bitcoin on the 2-minute time frame running straight to resistance, getting a bit overextended on those shorter term time frames. And I'm watching CLSK. I got Bitcoin on this screen, CLSK on this screen. CLSK topped at 1134. 1134 for Bitcoin is right here. This candle. Bitcoin then went higher for 10 more minutes. While Bitcoin is going higher, CLSK is going lower. That is clearly showing me that there is relative weakness. They're going inverse. So my mindset is, okay, there's relative weakness here. This is the name I'm choosing to go short on. And I know that when Bitcoin tops out into inevitable 5-minute, even just 5-minute consolidation, which had not happened at that point, CLSK will likely drop even further. And so ended up taking that short, scale out a little bit fairly quickly, set a stop at break even, exit another third, low 14s, exit it all, know I'm about to going on this live stream. And again, just utilizing the most likely scenario on Bitcoin, clear resistance, a confluence of resistances, EMA 12 on the 4-hour and a previous price level, finding the relative weakness in the correlated name, and then taking a trade based off of it. So that is how I trade crypto stocks based on what Bitcoin is doing. So let's now talk about relative strength and relative weakness. Let's see if I've gone through all my, I've gone through all my screenshots. So relative strength and relative, well, now what? Bitcoin at this point, I missed one screenshot, but I said, 2 hours ago, if we're going to reject from this resistance, bulls will likely have to be an hourly inverse head and shoulders if we're going to get any follow through. So that's where we stand right now. Bitcoin has to hold this low and break the double top right around 95,000, triple top, if we are going to see any follow through on this bounce attempt. And if we're going to hold daily EMA 12. We're right on that level now. We closed on it yesterday and we're right on it right now. So bulls need to set this hourly high or low fairly soon here if this reversal attempt from the short-term time frames is going to continue shaping up. All right, so that's where we stand on Bitcoin. Dominance chart. We were watching this rising wedge heading into the weekend. It broke bear, but as we know, zoom out. If weekly EMA 12 holds as support, dominance is not shifting in any meaningful way. Same thing with ETH BTC. If weekly EMA 12 is resistance, which has been the case for over 4 months, there is not a meaningful shift going on. Yes, we're bouncing. Notable that we had a little bounce, but in terms of big picture, is there a big picture shift going on? If weekly EMA 12 is resistance, the answer is no. So same thing for the dominance chart. Have to see significant shifts. Same thing that I just talked about on Bitcoin's 12-hour EMA 12. It held the entire run up from the election. We lost it, and that told us things are shifting for the first time since the election run. Same thing with the dominance weekly. We've been holding this dominance weekly for 5 months. Absolutely nothing shifts until it's lost. When it is lost for the first time, we will say, aha, things are different for the first time in 5+ months. And it will stand out and get our attention. But that's not the case yet. That still has to happen. ETH, got to be cautious of a rising wedge. Why am I watching for a rising wedge? Here's resistance. You break it. Nope. You break it straight into consolidation. You break it straight into consolidation. When you get bull breaks with no follow through, you scout a rising wedge. So I go to the 12-hour time frame. I say, all right, this is what the 12-hour uptrending resistance would look like. Here's the uptrending support. We're trying to hold it right now. I draw this and I don't act on it. Many times I'll draw wedges and trend lines, and I have to see the price respond to it to confirm to me that, yes, you're on the right track, you're watching the right thing. So if ETH does bounce from here on the 12-hour time frame, that will then make this pattern way more valid for me. And it will confirm, yes, this is the thing to be watching until it resolves itself one way or the other. And then it'll be, is this a 12-hour head? Remember what I said? Wedges often turn into head and shoulders, both directions. Well, this is a potential 12-hour head and shoulders. If we hold here, we'll be watching for the possibility of a 12-hour head and shoulders within a rising wedge. So again, it's just, do I have high conviction that this is a rising wedge that's going to break bear? No, not yet. But I lay out a setup and then I observe. And if I get the feedback from the price action that tells me, yes, this is worth watching, this is what's shaping up, I get higher conviction, then I get actionable signals off of it and I establish trade game plans. But so much of trading is sitting around and trying to identify most likely scenarios. And then once you get the conviction, again, it's just a conviction meter for me. Low conviction, medium conviction, high conviction. When it's high conviction, I'm using more size, I'm more aggressive. And so if we bounce on the 12-hour from here, my conviction of that 12-hour rising wedge will go up. All right, let's talk about rotation. There's rotation going on in the market, and I'm watching all markets, including legacy, and it's fascinating to see it happen. We saw Bitcoin rotate into altcoins for a 5-day window or so, very significantly here. At the same point in time, we were having MSTR lead crypto stock bull, and I believe that MSTR Bitcoin, the premium that MSTR has been trading to Bitcoin, I believe that's topped out for this cycle, if I were forced to guess. And the reason I say that is because we got massively extended. Doesn't mean MSTR can't go higher, but in terms of the premium that it has to its Bitcoin holdings, I do believe that's topped. But anyways, we were looking for MSTR to top, just like when Bitcoin tops, and we then look for rotation into alts. We were looking for MSTR to top, and then rotation to go into other crypto stocks. And so Bitcoin was rotating into alts, MSTR was rotating into MARA and weaker crypto stocks. I'll show you how we see that in just a moment. And you had semiconductor stocks like NVDA rotating into IWM and growth stocks, which is a significantly different rotation. So we could see the rotation on the dominance chart. Clearly there, this is Bitcoin going into alts. MSTR divided by MARA shows us significant rotation out of MSTR into MARA. Now it's not, again, you zoom out, is this a massive change? No, it's still a long-term uptrend, but in the short term, it's been a massive shift where MARA has consistently gained against MARA for the last 5 trading days. If you look at SMH, semiconductors divided by IWM, the last 5 days, let's go the other way, IWM divided by SMH, the last 5 days, relative strength. So it's fascinating to watch the capital rotate around in all these different markets that are seemingly not connected, but the shift is the same in the sense of a leader shifting into laggards and, more high risk, high reward laggards. And so MARA has had a nice move here, breaking to multi-month highs. We got to 8-month highs on MARA yesterday, trying to set a daily higher low, definitely getting a little extended. But again, Bitcoin consolidating, we certainly would anticipate some of these crypto stocks to consolidate as well. MSTR is at its low of consolidation. And MSTR now has a lot of space for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce whenever we get it. We've set a lower high each of the last few days. We're testing the low of consolidation, 371, as we speak. Next level after that, I'd be looking around the 360s here. There was a decent amount of price action as resistance. We'll see if the bulls can hold that as support. Eventually, we're going to be looking for a daily bounce and then a daily lower high. So I already know the most likely scenarios. Obviously, the hard part is pinpointing exactly where they take place. But when I at least know the direction to be looking, the bears have full control of the hourly. Eventually here, sooner rather than later, we're scouting a daily bounce. Same with Bitcoin. We're going to scout a daily bounce on Bitcoin. It's just a question of whether we get another leg down or not. Then we're going to look for the daily lower high. And bears are patiently waiting for an MSTR daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. All right, altcoins. The altcoin setups that I'm keeping an eye on right now are the names that ran the hardest and pulled back real hard, but daily higher lows are the most likely scenario. So ADA, massive run, big pullback from the highs, quick 25% drop. But we know a daily high or low is the most likely scenario. We still have EMA 12 support, and we know that when we do bounce, there'll be some decent gains, 10%, 20%, depends how much we pull back first. But again, we then can anticipate that bulls do need to be cautious of a daily lower high being the result of the next bounce. Bears are going to be looking for that daily lower high. Why? This consolidation is different than any period of consolidation on the way up. It's more convincing. There's more retracement. There's more space for that lower high. So, more professional traders, I always say that do not short altcoins we're in a bull market, obviously. Do not short altcoins in a bull market unless you are an experienced trader. And this is, your third crypto cycle. You've been trading for 5 years, and then you have the confidence to know you're disciplined. You've proven it to yourself plenty of times, because obviously the risk is an inexperienced trader trying to counter a bull market, altcoin blows them up and blows up their account if they're trying to short it because they're not disciplined with the stop. If you've proven your discipline, it's just like any other trade setup. Here's just an example, XTZ, monster runner. But look at this trade, wrong name, XLM. XLM, monster runner. And again, just look at this trade where you don't have to nail the top. So XLM was an hourly uptrend. Again, identifies something that's been consistent the entire move. Hourly high or low every single period of consolidation the entire way. Hourly EMA 12 holding the entire way. We lost both at the same time. This was an hourly equilibrium. We lost the hourly uptrend at the same time as we lost hourly EMA 12. So shorting the break of that support of 56 cents, very quickly, 4 hours later, you got a gain of 23%. And you don't have to nail the top. You're not scaling into a short as we're shooting to the upside. This move was 12% off the high. You might think, 12%, I missed the trade. No, it's just setting up the signal. And so again, a more advanced trader can just view that signal for what it is, clear invalidation point where your stop goes. You get followed through on the initial break, you exit a third of your position, you set your break even stop, you let the trade play out. So the more experienced you get with trading, the more doors of opportunity are open to you in terms of having the confidence to maneuver the space in both directions. Because obviously we know if you're going straight up, you're going to top out, you're going to pull back 30%. It's just pinpointing when that happens that's obviously the difficult part. But XLM, daily high or low, will eventually be the most likely scenario here. So again, the names that just went straight up, ADA, XLM, even names like Mana and Sand, daily high or low will be most likely. Haven't quite hit hourly over, so we got right down to it. Hourly EMA 12 just driving the price down. Have to get over that. Looks like Bitcoin's giving back more than bulls want here. Got to set that hourly high or low real soon here. If that inverse head and shoulder is going to stay alive. But anyways, if I'm watching altcoins, if I'm looking long, I'm patiently scouting setups for ADA, XLM, Mana, Sand. So, okay, I know the daily high or low is the most likely scenario. Then what? Then you zoom in and you look for something on the shorter term time frame that indicates to you that that daily high or low is shaping up. Right now on these hourly charts for the names that I just mentioned, there is no indication. There's no bullish pattern just yet. We need a bullish pattern to develop that then has us saying, all right, that daily high or low is likely shaping up. Here's ADA, so we can put a downtrend resistance line here. We can, again, just visual guides, just something to keep an eye on. So I could say, all right, well, if ADA, heads down and breaks the low, but with no follow through and goes right into a bounce, then I know this hourly falling wedge increases in probability that that's what's taking place. And maybe if I want to be aggressive, I look to make an initial entry on a bear break with no follow through to then try and set up for that daily high or low. See if anything else is standing out here. INJ. Sand is down big. So how do we tell relative weakness here? Well, sand just hit a lower low on the hourly. And I know there's relative weakness there because I look at Mana and it hasn't. I look at ADA and it hasn't. I look at XLM and it hasn't. So clearly, sand is the weakest of the 4 names that I just mentioned. Recognizing relative strength and relative weakness, as we go through our trading career, I'm on year 14, we have periods where we level up. When I took the moving averages off my screen and used price levels and these EMAs back in 2017, my entire trading leveled up. Then I got real good at wedges, level up. More recently, I got good at recognizing megaphones, very tricky pattern, minor level up. But a major level up that I've had in the last 3 to 4 years is recognizing relative strength and relative weakness, because that points to which names I'm going to choose for my trades. And so if I'm looking bearish, I look for the relative weakness. NVDA in the stock world yesterday, it showed us relative weakness on Friday, and it showed us relative weakness pre-market yesterday. And we know there's a daily rising wedge in play. And so that just says, the only name that I talked about shorting yesterday in the stock world pre-market was NVDA, just because it was glaringly showing relative weakness. If I want to look short, I look at the relative weaker names. If I want to look long, so like right now in this environment, if I'm looking long in crypto stocks, it's MARA. If I'm looking short, it's CLSK or MSTR. And that's going to shift. Relative strength and weakness is constantly shifting. It's just like an ocean current. So we have to recognize when the shift takes place. But while that relationship is valid, sometimes it lasts days, sometimes it lasts weeks, it helps us focus. What am I going to trade? There's 50,000 things to trade. That helps hone in our focus. We know the direction we want, so we can narrow it down. Stronger names or weaker names. This is a good stream. I know that there's fire spitting from my mouth. But I'm done. @ChartGuys is the Twitter handle. 1 month outlook on Bitcoin. So that's a little bit further than I would like to look, because so here's, if you're asking me my 1 month outlook on Bitcoin, I can give it, but that's doing myself a disservice. Why would I make a prediction for 1 month in the future when I'm going to have more information 6 hours from now, 2 days from now? I'm going to have way more information than I have right now. And so I have to be agile and able to move with the new information that I'm given. And one thing, as a prominent trading figure, I will change my opinions or change my outlook. And then newer people or people that don't understand trading will be like, oh, you changed your mind. You said this. Yeah, that's the point. I got new information. I have to be changing my mind. The wrong way to approach markets is ingraining yourself in an opinion when you're getting new information that is counter your opinion. Any trade on BTC, I definitely laid out the setup. We'll check Solana. We do regular stock live analysis daily, multiple times daily. It's just in the Chart Guys community. We're going to be doing less live stuff in 2025. YouTube has been punishing us. We've got over 10,000 videos on YouTube. YouTube for the last 5 years has been punishing us for putting out too much content, which is why you see so many channels that do what we do. They're in the same niche, but they do once a week videos because that's what the algos and the analytics want to see. And so our daily, stock recaps, we're going down to once a week next year. We're going to have one live pre-market show and we're going to have one crypto check-in. Because again, I'm sick of being punished for putting too much free content out there. It's not cool. Not good retracement on this Bitcoin consolidation here. Not game over for the bulls, but not what you want to see. You want 50% or less retracement. Here we are approaching 60, 65. Sold. So Sol lost the daily uptrend. Weekly consolidation is underway. We know a weekly higher low is the most likely scenario. The first baby step towards a weekly higher low being set will be confirming a 4-hour uptrend. Go to the 4-hour, it's clear downtrend. We know that. That's not surprising. Look at the shift. What changed here? 12-hour EMA 12. Held, lost it. Shift underway. So we will be looking for a 4-hour oversold bounce here. It's just a question of, do we hit another low or not? We can see we're struggling in hourly EMA 12 resistance. So heading back down towards that low. We've got a lot of space. So I know the most likely scenario, the next time we bounce, aggressive bulls are keeping an eye out for a 4-hour oversold bounce, but the next most likely scenario will be a daily lower high. Why can I say that? Because we can go 10% from here and still just form a daily lower high. Again, you create the space for it with the retracement size. This retracement did not create much space for a lower high. This one didn't either. These are bull flags. This is not a bull flag. The retracement size is creating the space for the daily lower high to be the most likely result of the next bounce. Then the next big question is, do we confirm a daily downtrend? Into further daily consolidation, is the daily bounce retracement over 50% to create the space for a higher low? This is the information that I don't have, but we will be getting as things play out. So if you're asking me, what's my analysis for Solana a month from now? Well, do we confirm a daily downtrend? What's the bounce retracement size on that's all the information that informs my decision making, and I don't have that information yet. MSTR, is it still a short? Not at this point. If you want better risk reward, you're waiting for the daily lower high, like many bears are. I don't like risk reward of shorting it now. A bit late at this point, considering from that high we're down 25%, 32%. If KSM is hitting a lower low already, then yes, it is relatively weak. It hasn't yet, but that is an hourly bear flag. Yeah, Bitcoin continues to give it all back. Heading right back down to the lows. So what does this tell us now? Now we have the clear line in the sand. We know the bears have absolute control if 95 is resistance. We've now got 3 rejections at or just under 95,000. That is now the most important resistance level from here. Appreciate that, Bart. Thanks, VK. I'm surprised. There were other people that were definitely cautioning over bullishness on MSTR. Just maybe not in the crypto bubble, but again, people that aren't in love with MSTR or don't have the emotional bias, or a lot of people with a lot of trading experience knew a temporary top was coming here. Those gap ups help. That's one thing that crypto doesn't have. Those exhaustion gap ups make me so much more confident when I'm scouting an extreme top or bottom. It's almost like, we're extreme. If we gap down tomorrow, I'm playing this oversold bounce. And many times it'll happen or it won't, but the gaps, my conviction meter of a setup of extremes, the gaps market, or I should say the gaps significantly move the needle of conviction. Yes, good observation, Greg. So hourly oversold on Bitcoin did not mark the daily higher low. So we had a nice bounce, got a little bit, we had a nice bounce. What did we go from? So yeah, 4% bounce. As soon as you break that low, little cautionary red flag. Hourly higher low, hourly oversold, did not mark the daily higher low into continuation. Things are weakening a bit. Need to zoom out and look for longer term consolidation. What's happening with GME? It's going up. Community right now, we're running our Black Friday sale. It's $8.99 for the year. I think that works out to 70 something a month. If you are a more, I'm biased, but it's extremely, I have learned so much in our chat community from other people while I'm helping people. The stream yesterday explaining what the membership entails, again, on our YouTube channel, was just me recalling how much I have benefited. The reason I'm in crypto was from Chart Guys members pointing to me in 2017, and it then changed my life. Without Chart Guys members being like, hey, look over here, this is an opportunity, I probably wouldn't have traded crypto that year. How does Superstack work? It is when a bunch of time frames align in extremes. So if you've got the hourly RSI in extremes, but the 15-minute is only just getting to oversold, it's not an hourly Superstack. You have to have extremes aligning across a multitude of time frames. XRP had a good one. So again, this Superstack is what's included in the membership deal here, but add my Superstack. We've got XRP yesterday or over the weekend. Not on Bitstamp. Back here. So Coinbase, hourly backburn or hourly Superstack told us, okay, the hourly is extreme, the 15-minute is extreme, and the 5-minute is extreme all at the same time. And then that marks the bottom into a 10% plus bounce. 20% bounce. So again, it's just another piece of the puzzle. We have to still establish our trade criteria, our stop loss, and things like that to ensure that we're on top of our risk, but a good one. All right, SUI, I can look at it real quick. That was from a long time ago. So nice bounce. I now know, I haven't looked at the 4-hour yet. I know we must confirm a 4-hour uptrend if we're going to follow through it all here. Have we done that yet? No. So, okay, nice to break the lower highs. Space has been created, but we must confirm the 4-hour uptrend from here for that daily higher low to be set. And then I would anticipate a daily lower high is the most likely scenario from there. And depending on what that daily bounce retracement is before that lower high forms, that's going to dictate whether we're looking for a tightening range and an equilibrium, or if it's a weak bounce without any follow through, the potential for a daily downtrend to confirm. But first things first, got to confirm that 4-hour uptrend. So question, Doge last pump, Elon Musk on SNL was the top. In hindsight, it looks planned. Looks easy in hindsight, as so many things do. I can't begin to predict an event that would mark a top like that. So, no, I don't have anything at the top of my head. I mean, the Saylor headline is as close as I can get, but again, that's just looking for a top for at least a few days. Maybe it turns into a few weeks from here. I don't know. I need more information every single day that we're going to get. But that was at least a signal for a temporary top. Thanks, Ashley. XTZ. All right, I got to get my cutoff here. Cutoff at 147. So XTZ, we're looking for a daily high or low, anything above $1. It's still all bears in the short term. Haven't hit hourly oversold yet. Bulls would love to see hourly oversold mark a daily high or low. But it's also a daily head and shoulders that we have to be cautious of. So if we form a daily high or low compared to $1, where there's tons of space for the daily lower high here, and we'll then see what's the bounce retracement, Are we shaping up a head and shoulders? So that's me looking into the future. I know I'm scouting a daily high or low. I know I will then be scouting a daily low or high due to this retracement size, but we then have to zoom in to try and pinpoint things. And so right now I'd be zoomed in on the hourly. There's no indication of a daily high or low shaping up as the bears currently still have full short-term control. I need to see a bullish reversal pattern forming on the hourly. So is this going to be a falling wedge? I don't know. If we bounce, if we break this support here of 114, which we just did with no follow through, and if we get a green candle, the next hour, then I say, okay, I'm going to keep an eye out for this hourly falling wedge. But I have to be sure that there's no follow through on this new low if I'm going to be scouting this pattern. So again, I draw the pattern. I don't have high conviction yet, but if the price responds and we get a bear break with no follow through, I then know, yep, I'm going to continue paying attention to this pattern because my conviction goes up a bit because we're responding like we would if this were a falling wedge, which by definition, bear breaks with no follow through means scout a falling wedge. So I can't say that there's no follow through yet because we just broke support, but I can keep an eye out for it. What's up, NT Inferno? Thanks for the support since 2017. Is TradingView worth buying fresh into trading? I mean, you can go with the free version for a while. I don't think it's too limiting. I forget what the free version is like compared to the pay version in terms of, what you get for it. But I think it should be sufficient. If you just got here, go back and watch the whole stream. This is the best crypto stream I've done in a while. All right. Will the super stack fire no matter what time? So, we got all the time frames all the way up to the monthly, but the conditions have to align with all the time frames that are shorter than. So if I'm on the monthly, that means the daily, the 12-hour, the 4-hour, the hourly, the 30-minute, the 15-minute, the 5-minute, all need to be aligning in those conditions. And we did get some monthly. Who was the first one? I said first monthly super stack. I think it was XLM. So yeah, we had two monthlies fire here. We had a monthly fire, not done quite yet, but getting real extreme on the monthly chart. So that tells us the monthly, weekly, daily, all those time frames were at extremes. And it didn't pinpoint the top there, but it tells us, obviously we know we're extremely extended. If it's counter trend, if you're going straight up and you get super stacks, to me that doesn't mean short. It's not a good enough signal short, but it means take profit. If you're in a long and you're getting super stacks and you're shooting way up, trim a little bit of your position because we're probably going to see some pullback sooner rather than later. How accurate do I think liquidation heat map is? I have never personally used it, so I couldn't say. How do I trade usually in crypto? 1% to 2% risk. It's changed drastically. I was as aggressive as you can be in 2017. I was market buying all in with position sizes that I wouldn't even consider right now. Even though I have a significantly higher net worth, I was market buying all in with 90% of my net worth. Just because at that point in time, end of 2017, I had already exceeded my goals by 1,000 or 2,000%. So my mindset was, if I have a big loss and I screw up, I'll take a big step back, but I'll still be way over what my goal was. So it was just pedal to the metal in that mindset. But yeah, right now, honestly, I'm not trading crypto much because of the fees. The amount I've paid to Coinbase in fees over the last 7 years is absurd. And when we're having volatility where, Bitcoin's doing 20 to 40% in a matter of days in both directions, then the fees are worth trading that volatility. But as liquidity increases, you don't get that kind of volatility, and it's not worth the fees for me, which is why I short CLSK today, because it didn't cost me $1. All right. I appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks again for the likes and the shares. We're under 100 likes. That's not fantastic. Do I still trade naked? Not in the winter, but you've definitely watched my streams with no pants on. I'll tell you that much. I have them on right now. Did look at XRP. Definitely worked out. It's a different market environment. Back in 2017, if you hit a new all-time high, you almost got a guarantee 5 to 10% follow through very shortly. And so, yeah, market buying resistance breaks was the play because everybody was doing it. But we are not in that market anymore. The crypto market right now is vastly different than 2017, and it will never be the same, which is why we will never see those gains again in Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin, a huge move, is 200%. Back then, it was 2,000%. We'll never see that again because of liquidity. As market cap grows and liquidity increases, volatility shrinks. All right. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to do good things. 115 likes, just like that. As much as I hate asking for the button click, it makes such a difference. Check out the Black Friday.